faceless live, faceless gains. I just wanted to call it that. I'm going to use this mic. It's a newer mic. I would say this is product placement, so to speak, but it's something that I purchased myself with the intentions of product placement. It's a good product. If you can hear me, can you hear me? I tell you what, guys. Today we're going to talk about this book. Good morning, New Yorkers. It's it's we're going to talk about this book. It's called How and Why America, and this book here was created 2000, and this book here was created in 20. I want to say 2021 or so. I'm not too sure, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Charles Anderson and how we met and some of the things he wanted to do in his book. And also, I'm going to use AI to expound on this book and expound on some of the concepts in this book. So let me just make sure that I am live and direct and make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? There you go. And I tell you guys, it's going to be an incredible journey. I'm going to use AI. I've already done some stuff with AI in this book, and I'll let you hear it while it's going, and we'll take it from there. All right.
Okay, this new image provides a lot more detail. Here's what it tells us about How and Why America. The author is Charles Anderson. Copyright. The book was copyrighted in 1995 by Charles Anderson. Purpose. It's explicitly described as a thought-provoking book intended to expand the mind and intellect, providing wisdom, courage, and a clearer understanding of life and its realities. Dedication. It's dedicated to anyone who has experienced discrimination, abuse, false accusations, or has been taken advantage of, affirming their right to question how and why. Approach. The book seems to use questions designed to make the reader think deeply and self-reflect. It suggests that if a question causes offense, the reader should examine why, as the answers lie within themselves. It poses examples like questioning the justifications for being a bully or racist, and asking why telling the truth requires no thought. Desired impact. The book aims to encourage readers to think before speaking, develop compassion, look deeper before judging others, understand their own role in interactions, and ultimately become more compassionate, kind, and understanding by removing personal biases, blinders. This information, especially the author's name and the 1995 publication date, helps explain why it wasn't immediately prominent in search results. It's an older book and possibly wasn't distributed through major channels that would give it a large online footprint today. Thanks for sharing that image. It clarifies a lot about the book's specific focus and intent.
And there you go, guys. So he actually created this book in 1995. First of all, I want to say rest in peace, Charles Anderson. He's passed away in 2022. And we actually connected, I think, I want to say 2019, maybe 2021 once again. But we also connected first in the year 2000. It was amazing. I actually created this cover for him. We had a few covers that we created, and it was old school, but we put it together and we did what we could. And then we lost touch after that, and we spoke every so often. But he still had his own vision, and he actually had this book put together a little bit more professional. And I don't think the book, that's what we were going to do. He sent me a few copies and said, Greg, can you take this book to the next level? I think we did some stuff on TikTok that we never expanded, but he's like, Greg, can you take this book to the next level? And that was the goal, maybe months before he passed away. So we never did it. But I said, you know what? AI is just an incredible technology. So I'm going to go through some of these questions. I'm going to scan some of these questions here on live, and we're going to see they're not necessarily meant to be answered, as you just heard. It's meant to reflect inside, but you can answer them. And I'm going to see how AI answers them as I start to plug them into AI. So stay with me, follow me. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. And definitely, you're going to learn about how and why America. This is the time where this book probably needs to be out. It's definitely an election version type book, election season type book, but still needs to be out right about now. So let's scan the first couple pages, and I'm gonna show you how AI works. First of all, again, I'm using generative AI, and I'm using Gemini. So I'm gonna scan some pages like I did this. As you see, I scanned that first page, and as you see, I scan the cover. There you go. I scan the cover, and then I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of information in here. And here's how I do it. It's multimodal, so I just tap this cross or add, and then I'm going to go to camera, and we're going to take some images. Let's see. You know what, guys? I might have to move this. Nope, I'll just move this, and then I'll come back. So we're going to take some questions. Let's see. Hopefully my lighting is okay. Okay, now watch this, guys. Okay, Gemini, tell me a little bit about this book from some of the first questions that I've given you. Sorry about that light, guys.
Okay, based on the questions shown on page 3 of the book How and Why America by Charles Anderson, here's a glimpse into its style and content. The book presents a series of direct, introspective questions designed to make the reader think deeply about various aspects of life, self-perception, and relationships. The questions on this page touch upon themes such as self-worth and love, examining the balance between self-love and external love, and questioning abusive expressions of love. Character and judgment, asking how character is judged, e.g., by lies, and promoting self-understanding as a key to understanding others. Emotional well-being, highlighting the self-destructive nature of holding on to anger and the importance of self-care. Resilience and strength, posing questions about persistence, a winner never quits, and how strength is often discovered through adversity. Personal value, asserting the reader's uniqueness and their right to be treated well. In essence, this part of the book uses a Socratic method, prompting readers to explore their own beliefs and experiences regarding fundamental life issues, personal responsibility, and how they interact with the world. It directly reflects the author's stated intent to be thought-provoking and expand the reader's understanding and wisdom.
And there you go, guys. That was Charles Anderson. He always had a thought. He wanted to think something. He was actually an inventor. I don't know if you say published inventor, but he created a new and useful invention that has a patent right now called the drip mat. And there's been a lot of imitations, but he created this years ago. I want to say early '90s, and he just had so many concepts, and that's how I met him through a mutual friend, Pastor Ann, and she when she let me meet him, she said, "Greg, you guys are similar. Y'all should work together somehow," and we did. We did a lot of work together, a lot of concepts together, and it was fun. And again, this book was, I don't want to say it's his life's work, but it was part of his thought process, part of his life's work, and it was great to help create this. So again, this book is a lot more detailed than this, but I'm going to scan the first page of this book, and this is, you see our graphics were a little bit older. I had a program called Corel Draw, and let's see. I'm gonna scan this page, and then let's see what Gemini says on this, and I'm gonna tell her what this is. And Gemini, I guess, is a boy and a girl. I don't know. I like the girl voice. Let's see. So, so Gemini, this is a page from the book that we compiled in 2000. Add this to some of the stuff from the book that was compiled in the 2020, I believe, one or two, probably 21 or 19, somewhere in there.
Okay, let's look at this new image and connect it with the previous information. This latest image shows 1. Text. This is a thought-provoking book with the intent to expand the mind, brain, and intellect. It will also give you more wisdom, courage, and a clear understanding, keeping one in touch with life and its realities. 2. Author signature C.R. Anderson. Now let's compare this to the information from the earlier images, which included the 1995 copyright page. Consistency and purpose. The text describing the book's intent in this new image, which you associate with the 2000 compilation, is almost identical to the introductory paragraph shown on the 1995 copyright page image. Image link to .png A5C28BD3B748-4, B768778, 07B95B8, DFB83. Both state the book is thought-provoking and aims to expand the mind/intellect, provide wisdom, courage, understanding, and connection to life's realities. Author name. The 1995 copyright page listed the author as Charles Anderson. This new image shows the signature C.R. Anderson. It's highly likely this is the same author. Adding this to what we know, this confirms that the core stated purpose of the book remained consistent from the original 1995 version through the compilation you mentioned from 2000. The central idea is to stimulate thought and provide deeper life understanding. You mentioned another compilation from around 2019 to 2021. While I haven't seen specific pages from that version, unless some of the previous images were from that specific version, this new piece of information reinforces the foundational intent described by CR/Charles Anderson for his work across different iterations or compilations. So the key takeaway is the enduring description of the book's goal, to be a tool for intellectual expansion, wisdom, and understanding life's realities, as stated by the author C.R. Anderson.
And there you go, guys. And so I'm going to put the second page from the 2000 book. And okay, let's look at this. I want to see the thought process here for him in 2000 that I helped him to compile. And it's the same thought process, but we want to see what he's saying here. So stay tuned. Let me grab an image, and we're going to put all this together, guys. It's fun using AI to decipher and to connect. Here's more from the 2000 printed version. Let's hear what you got, Gemini. So it's just cool to take Gemini or generative AI and have it to put together content like you've never thought.
Okay, this page, titled How Do You Use This Book, provides instructions and context specifically for the How and Why America 2000 version, which it calls Volume 1 of a collection. Here's what it tells us. Scope and ambition. It presents How and Why America 2000 as part of a dynamic collection with the potential to motivate change and help solve significant worldwide controversial issues. Content focus. The book contains detailed questions intended to empower the reader and improve areas like self-esteem, character, marriage, self-control, sex and relationships. It also touches upon religious and political activities. Application to social issues. It suggests that applying the book's questions to problems like racism, bigotry, abuse, and discrimination can lead to their elimination. Recommended method of use. Daily application. Read questions from the book every day. Self-reflection. See how the questions apply to your own life. External observation. Consider how they might apply to others and their situations. Inner work. Actively exercise your inner power of thought, faith, belief, desire, persistence, and prayer. Goal integration. Set daily personal or business goals and include relevant questions from the book in your agenda. Expected results. Following these steps with faith and confidence is expected to make a major difference in your life, help solve problems, and yield immediate results. Sharing. Encourages readers to recommend the book to others or share their own copy. Tagline. The page ends with the slogan, Ask the questions, get the answers. It appears answers might be slightly misspelled in the image. In summary, this page from the 2000 version frames the book as a powerful tool for personal transformation and even societal change, providing a clear guide on how to engage with its questions daily for maximum impact.
Wow. So you see that? You see what AI just did? I've never noticed that was spelled wrong. So that's something, you have two guys and you don't have a total editor, and something like that, it gets spelled wrong. I spelled that wrong, guys. Anyway, so you see what the book is about. Now I'm going to take the first 5 questions on the 2000, and then we're going to stay with the 2019. This is either 2019, 2020, or 2021. I want to say it's 2021 because that's when I spoke to him, and I know it was in 2019 also because it was just after these major tornadoes here in Dayton, Ohio, and he's in Las Vegas. He was in Las Vegas. So let me grab these first five questions, and look how we're using generative AI, guys. I'm using Gemini, using the Capella voice, which is a female voice. Sounds like more Britain type voice, UK, and I'm using a multimodal function by capturing an image, and then it evaluates the image. And that's what AI can do for you guys. AI can evaluate your images, your screenshots, I mean, your text. Of course, there's some out there. I don't think this does video just yet. Don't correct me. I mean, you may, don't quote me on that. But it's just, you can use a multimodal content concept and get questions answered and spell answer the right way. All right, guys. So I'm gonna take an image of these first five questions, and then we're gonna stay on the more recent book. And although she keeps saying 1995, uh, he just put that to show the history that was published later. Okay, Gemini. In this image here, it's the first five questions on the 2000 version of this book. Give me some of your thoughts on these questions, uh, and see what he was thinking and what he might have wanted you to think. A person. He was thought provoking.
Okay, let's delve into these first five questions from the How and Why America 2000 version. They set a challenging and introspective tone right away. Here are my thoughts on each question, considering what C.R. Anderson might have intended and the reflections he likely hoped to evoke. 1. Would it really matter what she was wearing when it happened, if it was your daughter? Topic: victim blaming, empathy, personal connection versus abstract judgment. Author's intent: this question aims to cut through societal tendencies to judge victims, particularly female victims of assault or harassment, based on their attire. By making it personal, your daughter, he forces the reader to confront the issue with raw empathy rather than detached judgment. He's likely thinking about how quickly people distance themselves from victims unless they feel a direct connection. Desired reader thought: he likely wants the reader to immediately recognize the irrelevance of clothing in situations of harm and to question the societal double standards and biases that lead to victim blaming. The goal is to foster immediate empathy and challenge preconceived notions. 2. Why is it that a blonde, blue-eyed male is called a hunk, but a blonde, blue-eyed female is called a bimbo? Topic: gender bias, sexism, double standards in language related to appearance. Author's intent: Anderson is pointing out a clear linguistic double standard where similar physical traits are interpreted positively for men, implying desirable physique, and negatively for women, implying lack of intelligence. He's highlighting ingrained sexism in language and perception. Desired reader thought: he wants the reader to recognize this disparity and question why it exists. It prompts reflection on how language shapes perception and reinforces potentially harmful gender stereotypes based purely on appearance. 3. Why is it a male that marries a rich woman is called a lucky devil and a female is called a gold digger? Topic: gender bias, sexism, double standards regarding financial motives in marriage/relationships. Author's intent: similar to the previous question, this highlights a societal double standard but focuses on financial gain within relationships. A man benefiting financially is seen as fortunate or clever, while a woman in the same situation is often viewed with suspicion and negative judgment. He's exposing hypocrisy in how motivations are perceived based on gender. Desired reader thought: Anderson wants the reader to confront this bias and question the underlying assumptions about gender roles, money, and relationships. Why is the same action judged differently based solely on the person's gender? 4. What if an animal kills his master? Was he really the master? Topic: power dynamics, control, definition of mastery, challenging assumed hierarchies. Author's intent: this question probes the nature of control and dominance. If mastery can be overthrown, was it true mastery, or just temporary dominance based on circumstance or force? He might be questioning whether true leadership or mastery requires more than just power. Perhaps consent, respect, or a different kind of relationship. Desired reader thought: He likely wants the reader to think critically about power structures and what truly defines leadership or control. Is it absolute power, or is it a more complex dynamic? It encourages questioning assumptions about established roles. 5. How can you serve two gods at the same time and stay focused? Topic: divided loyalties, commitment, focus, potential conflicts in values or priorities, possibly religious or metaphorical. Author's intent: drawing on a well-known concept, often associated with religious teachings about God versus mammon/money, Anderson challenges the idea of divided commitment. He's asking if it's possible to maintain true focus and dedication when pulled in conflicting directions by powerful, demanding forces, literal gods, or metaphorical ones like career versus family, different belief systems, etc. Desired reader thought. He wants the reader to examine their own lives for conflicting loyalties or priorities. Are they trying to pursue goals or adhere to values that are fundamentally incompatible? How does this division affect their focus, integrity, and effectiveness? Overall thoughts on C.R. Anderson's intent. These first 5 questions immediately establish the book's confrontational and introspective style. The author clearly intended to challenge societal norms, directly confronting sexism, victim-blaming, and biased language, provoke self-reflection, forcing readers to examine their own potential biases and assumptions, encourage critical thinking, posing questions about abstract concepts like power and loyalty, foster empathy, using personalization to connect the reader emotionally to the issue. Q1. He seems to want the reader to move beyond surface-level thinking and engage deeply with complex, often uncomfortable aspects of human behavior and societal structures.
Man, I tell you, Charles Anderson, he would have loved this AI capability. I tell you that is for sure. He missed it. He's passed away in early 2022, but this is something he would have loved because this is how he was. He wanted you to think and he wanted a certain thought process. He wanted you to answer the questions. All right, guys, we're going to stay in this latest version, although, again, uh, Gemini may call it the copyrighted 1995 version, but this was a printed version in 2019 or 2020 or 2021, one or the other. So we're going to get into some of these questions here, and then we'll come back to this one later. Again, this was the one that I was able to create with him 20 years ago, 25 years ago now. So let's stay here. This is the one that I'm not sure who helped him put this together, but it looks like it was, one of those publishing companies. I love this glossy. He always wanted something glossy, and we just didn't have a budget. But we did have a little bit of glossy on the front. But this is really good quality, guys. I like this. So here, let me copy these first questions, and let's get on with Gemini and the way Gemini thinks. Let's see, or how Gemini talks about how people might think. So let's get that. Again, what I'm doing is I am taking an image. Make sure this light is not too overbearing. Give me a second, guys. Uh-oh. Here, just going to move it up. Okay, here we go. So, I don't know if you can see any of those questions, but don't worry about it. We're about to discuss them. So, Gemini, these are the first few questions in the version you call 1995 copyright, but that was the version that was also printed and republished in 2020 or 2021. Okay. Let's see what you got.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that this page of questions is from the version associated with the 1995 copyright, which you mentioned was also republished around 2020-2021. Let's analyze these opening questions from page 3. These questions take a slightly different angle compared to the ones we looked at from the How and Why America 2000 version. They seem more focused on internal states, personal growth, and fundamental life principles. Here are my thoughts on some of these questions, considering C.R. Anderson's likely intent and the reflections he might want to inspire. 1. Why is it if I or someone else loves you more than you love yourself? Somewhere along the way you got lost. Topic: self-love, external validation, dependency. Author's thinking: Anderson likely believed that a strong foundation of self-love is crucial. Relying too heavily on external validation or love, without cultivating one's own, can lead to losing one's sense of self or direction. Desired reader thought. He probably wants the reader to reflect on their own balance of self-love versus seeking external love. Are they grounded in their own self-worth, or are they overly dependent on others' opinions or affection, potentially leading them astray? 2. Why does one show love abusively? Topic: toxic relationships, distorted expressions of love, trauma. Author's thinking: he's questioning the paradoxical and damaging phenomenon where affection is expressed through harmful actions. He might be prompting thought about the roots of such behavior, perhaps learned patterns, insecurity, or control issues. Desired reader thought. To make the reader confront the difficult reality of abusive dynamics disguised as, or mixed with, love. Why does this happen? Can it truly be love? It encourages critical thinking about relationship health. 3. Did you know that you are unique to all God's creation and nothing can replace you? Topic: intrinsic worth, individuality, self-esteem, possibly spiritual value. Author's thinking: this is less a question and more an affirmation. Anderson seems intent on reminding the reader of their inherent value and irreplaceability, framed within a potentially spiritual context. God's creation. Desired reader thought. He wants the reader to internalize this message of uniqueness and value. It serves as a foundational affirmation amidst other challenging questions, aiming to boost self-esteem. 4. Why is it when you accelerate yourself to understand yourself better, it would help you understand other? Topic: self-awareness, empathy, connection between internal and external understanding. Author's thinking: he's promoting the idea that introspection is key to empathy. Understanding one's own motivations, flaws, and complexities makes it easier to understand and connect with others. Desired reader thought. To encourage the reader to invest in self-understanding not just for personal benefit, but also as a pathway to improved relationships and greater compassion for others. 5. Why is it when you hold on to angry, it's only going to hurt you, not others? Topic: anger management, emotional well-being, self-inflicted harm. Author's thinking: Anderson is pointing out the corrosive effect of sustained anger on the individual holding it. While anger might be directed outwards, its long-term negative impact is primarily internal. Desired reader thought. He wants the reader to examine any anger they might be harboring and recognize its potential harm to their own well-being, prompting them to consider healthier ways to process it. 6. Why is it in life you deserve to be treated 114% better than you're being treated if you're being mistreated? Topic: self-worth, boundaries, recognizing mistreatment, right to fair treatment. Author's thinking: this is another strong affirmation combined with a question. He's validating the feelings of anyone being mistreated and emphatically stating their right to significantly better treatment. The 114% adds strong emphasis. Desired reader thought. To empower the reader to recognize mistreatment, affirm their own worth, and understand that they deserve respect and fairness. It challenges acceptance of poor treatment. Overall thoughts on C.R. Anderson's intent, this version's opening. These questions focus heavily on building the reader's internal foundation: self-love, self-awareness, recognizing personal value, managing emotions like anger, and understanding core life principles like persistence, quitter never wins. While the questions from the 2000 version immediately tackled societal issues like sexism, these questions start by focusing inward, aiming to strengthen the reader's sense of self, character, and emotional intelligence as a basis for navigating life and its challenges, including mistreatment. The author uses a mix of probing "why is it" questions and direct affirmations to guide this self-reflection and empowerment.
All right, I like that. You know what? I'm going to have a conversation with Gemini. Okay, I love your understanding. I want to get why did he use 114%?
That's a great question. Without being able to ask the author, C.R. Anderson, directly, we can only speculate on his exact reasoning for choosing 114%. However, based on the context and the style of the questions, here are the most likely interpretations. 1. Emphasis and impact. This is the most probable reason. Using a specific, slightly unusual number like 114% makes the statement much more emphatic and memorable than simply saying better, much better, or even 100% better. It grabs your attention. It suggests not just deserving fair treatment, which might be considered 100%, but significantly more than just fair, possibly to overcompensate for the mistreatment, or simply to strongly assert a very high level of self-worth. 2. Signifying more than whole or abundantly better. 100% often signifies completeness or adequacy. By going over 100% to a specific number like 114%, the author might be emphasizing that you deserve treatment that is not just adequate or fair, but abundantly good, overflowing and exceeding basic expectations. 3. Breaking conventional thinking. Standard idioms often use round numbers, like give 110%. Choosing 114% breaks this pattern, perhaps intentionally, to make the reader pause and think about the degree of good treatment they deserve, rather than relying on a common cliché. It's unlikely to be a precise calculation or have a universally understood symbolic meaning. The power of the number here seems to lie in its specificity and its ability to strongly underscore the message. If you are being mistreated, you don't just deserve things to be fair, you deserve exceptionally good treatment. It's a powerful affirmation of self-worth.
Nice. And although Charles Anderson probably wouldn't want you to have put everything into AI, but look how AI breaks it down. You know, certain things you can kind of dip into the author's mind and see some of the ideas of why he might have said what he said or why he might have chose that word. Let's get another page, guys, and then we're going to get out of here. I just wanted to introduce you to this book. It was very controversial. Looks like in 20 years, like she said, he made it a little bit more introspective, but I know he has some controversial things in here probably. Let's see. I know I've glanced at this book, but I haven't read it all. So let's get another copy, another image. Let's see. Bear with me. Okay, here you go, Gemini. Here are some more questions. The second page, which is the fourth page, second page of questions. Let's go through here and see some of your thought process. She's thinking.
Okay, let's explore the thought process behind the questions on page 4 of this version of CR. Anderson's book. This page continues to push the reader into examining life, society, and the self from different, often challenging angles. Here's a breakdown of the questions and the likely thinking behind them. 1. Why is it in life you can check out anytime you want to, but you can never leave? Topic. Permanence of consequences, identity, the past. Perhaps a nod to the famous line from the Eagles' Hotel California, author's intent, to make you ponder the inescapability of your actions, your history, or perhaps your core self. Even if you try to check out, mentally disengage, change circumstances, maybe even referring to ending life, the impact or the essence remains. Desired reader thought, am I bound by my past? Can I truly escape the consequences of my choices, or the person I am? It prompts reflection on responsibility and the lasting nature of existence and actions. 2. Why is it when you lift something too heavy to carry, it's going to crush you in the end? Topic. Overburdening, exceeding limits, stress, consequences of taking on too much. Author's intent, a clear metaphor. Carrying burdens, emotional, mental, financial responsibility beyond your capacity will eventually lead to breaking down. It's a warning against hubris or ignoring personal limits. Desired reader thought, what burdens am I carrying? Are they too heavy? Am I heading towards burnout or breakdown by refusing to acknowledge my limits or seek help? 3. At approximately what age do parents start teaching their kids to lie? Topic. Socialization, hypocrisy, loss of innocence, unintentional lessons. Author's intent. This is provocative, challenging the ideal of parental honesty. He's suggesting that children learn dishonesty, white lies, convenient omissions, conforming untruthfully, from observing or being instructed by adults, often from a young age. Desired reader thought, how do children learn to lie? Was I taught, implicitly or explicitly? How might societal norms or parental actions encourage dishonesty, unintentionally? 4. Why is it when put together the two saddest word on this planet is goodbye? Topic. Loss, separation, attachment, the pain of endings. Author's intent, to tap into the universal human experience of sadness associated with parting. It prompts a direct emotional reflection on the nature of connection and the pain of its severance. Desired reader thought: what makes goodbye so inherently sad? Reflecting on personal experiences of loss and the value placed on relationships. 5. How does money make a person stoop to their lowest? Is it money or is it a character flaw? Topic: morality, corruption, greed, temptation, nature versus circumstance. Author's intent to question the common phrase, money corrupts. Does wealth itself cause bad behavior, or does it merely provide the opportunity for existing character flaws, greed, lack of integrity, to manifest? Desired reader thought: is money inherently corrupting, or does it reveal what's already inside a person? How do I view the relationship between wealth and morality? 6. How does a religious group forgive one group for sending, likely sinning, and condemned another group for the same thing? What role does God play in that? Topic: religious hypocrisy, double standards, selective judgment, questioning divine justice versus human application. Author's intent to highlight inconsistencies and hypocrisy within religious institutions or groups where forgiveness/condemnation is applied unevenly for similar actions. It challenges the human element in religious practice and questions its alignment with divine principles. Desired reader thought: why do double standards exist in moral/religious judgments? How does human bias influence the application of religious doctrine? How can one reconcile this with the idea of a just God? 7. How does one likely build a wall long before the construction starts? Topic: mental barriers, prejudice, assumptions, self-sabotage. Author's intent: a metaphor for creating psychological or emotional barriers. Prejudice against people, fear of projects, negative assumptions, before any actual interaction or effort begins. Desired reader thought: am I building mental walls that prevent me from connecting with others or starting new things? Are my preconceived notions hindering me? 8. How is it if I really believe in the Bible I could not believe in myself? Topic: faith versus self-worth, religious interpretation, self-esteem within faith. Author's intent to challenge interpretations of religious texts, specifically the Bible, that might lead followers to diminish their own self-worth or capabilities, perhaps by overemphasizing sinfulness or dependency. Desired reader thought: can deep religious faith coexist with strong self-belief and self-esteem? Does my interpretation of faith empower or disempower me? 9. Is white the superior race, or is it green? Topic: racism, absurdity of racial superiority, materialism. Author's intent to expose the utter absurdity of the concept of racial superiority by contrasting a claimed superior race, white, with green, likely representing money/wealth. It mocks racism and perhaps suggests money is the real source of power/perceived superiority in society. Desired reader thought: recognizing the baselessness and irrationality of racism. Questioning all hierarchies based on race, and perhaps considering the role of wealth in societal power dynamics. 10. When you look in your mirror, what image do you really see? Is it real, or is it fake? Topic: self-perception, identity, authenticity, masks, inner versus outer self. Author's intent to prompt deep self-examination. Is the image you project and perceive truly you? Or is it a facade, a curated version, or even self-deception? Desired reader thought: who am I truly? Am I authentic in how I present myself and how I see myself? How much of my perceived identity is constructed versus genuine? 11. How does suggested, likely suggestion, become so strong? Topic: power of suggestion, influence, belief formation, psychology, manipulation. Author's intent to explore how mere ideas or suggestions can take root and exert powerful control over thought and behavior. Questioning the mechanisms behind influence and belief. Desired reader thought: how easily am I influenced by suggestions? How do beliefs form and strengthen? Recognizing the power external ideas and internal thoughts have. Overall thought process on this page. This set of questions continues to push boundaries, mixing existential ponderings, leaving life, goodbye, psychological insights, burdens, anger, self-image, social critique, parenting lies, racism, religious hypocrisy, and philosophical inquiries, money/character, faith/self. C.R. Anderson uses metaphors, direct challenges, and sometimes jarring juxtapositions, white or green, to force the reader out of conventional thinking and into deeper self-examination and societal critique. The likely typos don't obscure the clear intent to provoke thought on complex and often uncomfortable topics.
It's funny, and I was gonna say that. So you see that little space before she starts talking, before Gemini starts talking. you hear it's just thought process. As a matter of fact, I might try something, but I guess there's a thought process going on, and then all of a sudden, here's the answer. And while they're giving the answer, they've also edited it and said this is probably like where build. That's probably build, and it was another thing, another word here that she got, and they're right. These were some typos, and at the end, as Gemini said, was likely typos don't obscure the clear intent to provoke thought on complex and often uncomfortable topics, and that's what uh, Charles Anderson was about. he wanted to he wanted you to think. Let's look at her thinking. Show thinking. Let's see if they'll read that.
Okay, let's explore the thought process behind the questions on page 4 of this version of C.R. Anderson's book.
No.
This page continues to push the reader into examining life, society, and the self from different, often challenging, angles. Here's a breakdown of the questions and the likely thinking behind them. 1. Why is it in life you can check out anytime you want to, but you can never leave?
So, and oh, that was cool how she got that. That was a quote from the Eagles. You can check out every time you love, but you can never leave. Anyway, welcome to the Hotel California, and that was Charles Anderson, classic Charles Anderson. He had he had some skills, man. It was just amazing. Let's see. Here we go, guys. All right, Gemini. First of all, thank you so much for you going through this book. I don't know if I mentioned to you, but Charles Anderson passed away in I think it was February 2022, and this is one of the books that I was going to work on him with. And again, the 2000 version was the one I helped put together, and the 95 version is the first version that he wrote, and this 2020 or 21 published version was, I guess, the final copy. He sent this to me in 2021, I believe. So I tell you, I appreciate you going through and telling us what you think. And let's get this last page, and then we're going to let this simmer, and we'll continue to go through this whole book, and we'll kind of get his thought process in some of. Uh-oh, there we go. She heard me. Let's hear what she got. This is fun to review, guys. I know it seems kind of distant maybe to you, but this was great because I saw this come together, you know?
First, thank you for sharing that information about Charles Anderson. I'm sorry to hear of his passing in February 2022. It adds a layer of significance to be able to go through this work, knowing it was important to him and that you were involved in its journey. It's valuable context to understand the different versions, the 1995 original, the 2000 version you collaborated on, and this 2021 version as likely his final iteration. I appreciate you trusting me with this exploration. Let's look at this last page of questions you've provided. Page 5. This page seems to focus significantly on America, its identity, ideals, and the individual's relationship with it, while also touching on personal struggles and societal observations. Here's a breakdown of the thought process likely behind these questions. 1. How did USA Land of the Free end up being not such an unselfish act? Topic: Critique of American history/policy, idealism versus reality, national narrative. Author's intent to challenge the purely altruistic Land of the Free narrative. He prompts the reader to consider aspects of US history or actions, past or present, that might have been driven by self-interest rather than unselfish ideals. Desired reader thought, encouraging a critical look at national history and mythology. What actions taken by the US might not align with the unselfish ideal? How do we reconcile national ideals with historical realities? 2. How does one get and stay into a relationship that cost a one on, likely one's soul? Topic: Toxic relationships, self-destruction, loss of identity in relationships. Author's intent: to explore the deeply damaging relationships that erode one's core self, soul. Why do people enter them? What keeps them there? It highlights the profound cost of certain dynamics. Desired reader thought: What makes a relationship destructive to one's essence? Recognizing the signs and questioning the reasons people stay in situations that compromise their integrity or well-being. 3. If you were asked to define the American people, what race would it be? Topic: American identity, multiculturalism, race, challenging stereotypes. Author's intent: to immediately expose the impossibility and problematic nature of defining American by a single race. It forces recognition of the nation's diversity. Desired reader thought: to confront the diversity of the US and reject monolithic racial definitions of nationality. What does define the American people, if not race? 4. What was meant by the statement? Ask not what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. Topic: civic duty, contribution, patriotism, interpreting iconic quotes, JFK. Author's intent: to encourage reflection on Kennedy's famous call to action. What does active citizenship and contributing to the nation truly mean in practice? Desired reader thought: moving beyond passive citizenship. What is my responsibility to my country/community? How can I contribute positively? 5. Why is it when you represent my country, it does not make me proud? Topic: disillusionment, critical patriotism, government actions versus national ideals. Author's intent: to validate feelings of dissonance or even shame about one's country's actions or representatives. It suggests that true patriotism can include critique and dissatisfaction. Desired reader thought: exploring the complex nature of patriotism. Is it okay to love one's country but be critical of its government or policies? What specific representations evoke pride or lack thereof? 6. I just, likely, does just, pure cream always rise to the top? Topic: meritocracy, fairness, success, challenging cliches. Author's intent: to question the simplistic belief that pure quality or talent guarantees success. Are societal systems truly meritocratic, or do other factors intervene? Desired reader thought: critically evaluating the idea of meritocracy. What obstacles or advantages exist beyond pure talent/effort? Is the cream rising idiom always true? 7. Why is correct system, phrasing unclear given privileges that you would punish you kids? Topic: systemic hypocrisy, double standards, societal versus personal, ethics. Author's intent: interpreting the likely meaning, to point out inconsistencies where societal systems allow or privilege behaviors that individuals would find morally wrong on a personal level, e.g. within their own family. Desired reader thought: examining potential hypocrisies between societal norms/rules and personal ethics. Are there systemic advantages or behaviors we accept that contradict our own moral compass? 8. Calling someone else names, is that billion, likely bullying, or a weak, likely weak attempt to, likely to be controlling? Topic: bullying, verbal abuse, control, motivation behind aggression. Author's intent: to analyze the act of name-calling. Is it simply aggressive bullying, or does it stem from insecurity and a weak attempt to exert control over another person? Desired reader thought: understanding the underlying dynamics of verbal abuse. Recognizing it as either a display of power or a mask for weakness and control. 9. Intoxication, seduction, and addiction, which one's different? Topic: loss of control, influence, desire, compulsivity, comparing states of being. Author's intent: to prompt a comparison of these three powerful states that can overwhelm judgment or self-control. Are they fundamentally different, or points on a spectrum? Desired reader thought: analyzing the nature of influence and loss of agency in these different contexts. What differentiates being drunk, powerfully persuaded/attracted, or compulsively driven? 10. The question one must ask oneself: what can my huge insignificant life add? Purpose, contribution, meaning, civic responsibility, overcoming insignificance. Author's intent: a poignant question acknowledging feelings of smallness, huge insignificant, while simultaneously demanding consideration of one's potential positive impact, however small, on the larger community/country. Desired reader thought: finding value and purpose even when feeling insignificant. What positive contribution can I make, regardless of scale? Connecting personal life to the collective good. 11. Why a pity party designed and given for the sole purpose of fulfilling, likely fulfilling one's selfish desires and needs? Topic: self-pity, emotional indulgence, motivation, coping mechanisms. Author's intent: to critically examine the function and motivation behind engaging in self-pity, pity parties. Are they purely about self-indulgence, or do they serve another, perhaps less obvious, need? Desired reader thought: reflecting on the purpose and productivity of self-pity. Is it a helpful coping mechanism, or simply a way to wallow in negative feelings and fulfill selfish desires for attention or validation? Overall thoughts on page 5. This page strongly pivots towards examining the individual's relationship with America, questioning its narratives, defining its people, understanding civic duty, and processing feelings of pride or disillusionment. Interspersed are deeply personal questions about damaging relationships, finding purpose amidst feelings of insignificance, and analyzing psychological states like addiction or the motivations behind bullying and self-pity. The author continues to use direct, sometimes blunt, or slightly imperfectly phrased questions to force critical engagement with both the nation and the self. Thank you again for sharing this journey through Mr. Anderson's thoughts. I'm ready to continue whenever you are.
Great. So she's ready to continue, and we're going to go for another 10 minutes. I appreciate you guys going on this journey as well. How and why? What's going on there? MetaMask just popped up out of nowhere on my Gemini, so we better clear that out. I haven't used MetaMask in a while. That's very interesting. So, anyway, thank you for going through this journey with me. And I'm going to do this summary with Gemini because I want you to know what you can do with Gemini. And that's the reason that, thank you for being here the whole time, first of all, too. And I want you to know what you can do with Gemini. This is just something personal. I've been going back in the past and showing some of my past work 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and connecting it with Gemini, and it expanding my thought process. And that's what it does. Uh, Dealing with generative AI, it expands your thought process. And you can look at something and then you can look at something a different way when you put it into AI. So I'm going to ask her this last question and then we're going to get out of here. But if you want to hear more about How and Why America, just stay tuned. I'm not going to have a certain date that I come up, but I definitely wanted to do it this month. Actually, you know what? His birthday month. This is his birthday month and my birthday month. I'm April 20th, and I believe he was April 17th. I'm going to double check that, but I think his birthday was 3 days before mine. So, so, hey, this was a good day to bring this out. So I'm going to definitely push this in April and let you see what you can gather. And also going back from these older questions, it's a totally different style, guys. It's a totally different style, and some of them are the same, but he grew in his thought process and in his questions. And I think he passed away. I think he was 72. And again, April 17th is his birthday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to let you know that on the next time. So let me get one more summary from Gemini, and I'm going to also ask her how you can use AI to do some of the things that's similar, whether you're looking at controversial books or whether you're looking at just things that you did from the past. So, Gemini, what I want to do next is I want you to give us a summary of what you did with this book, how you went through it, how you expanded, and let my viewers know how they can use generative AI, specifically Gemini or ChatGPT, and expand their thought process and whatever they've created or things they've created 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Let us know that. You ready, guys? She's thinking.
Okay, absolutely. It's been a genuinely interesting process exploring Charles Anderson's How and Why America with you. Let me summarize how we approached it, and then offer some thoughts on how others can use generative AI like Gemini or ChatGPT to explore their own creative work. Summary of our exploration of How and Why America. 1. Initial identification. We started with just the cover image. My first step was to identify the title, How and Why America, and the keywords presented visually. I then attempted to find information online but found that standard searches brought up similarly titled, but different, works. This highlighted the challenge of finding information on less widely distributed or older publications. 2. Deepening context with user input, your subsequent uploads were crucial. Providing the inside cover revealed the author, Charles Anderson, C.R. Anderson, and the 1995 copyright date. You also provided vital context about different versions/compilations, 2000, 2021, and your personal connection to the work, including the poignant information about Mr. Anderson's passing. 3. Core analysis, deconstructing the questions. The main part of our work involved analyzing the pages of questions you provided. For each page/set of questions, my process was generally read and list, carefully read each question presented, identify themes, determine the core topic or theme being addressed, e.g., self-worth, societal hypocrisy, racism, patriotism, relationships. Infer author's intent. Consider why Mr. Anderson might have phrased the question that way. What assumption was he challenging? What societal norm was he questioning? What feeling or idea was he trying to evoke? Consider reader impact. Think about the kind of internal reflection or critical thinking the question was designed to trigger in the person reading it. Synthesize and compare. Look for patterns across questions on a page, and compare the tone and focus between the different versions. E.g., the 2000 version's opening versus the 1995-2021 version's opening. Address specifics. Respond to direct inquiries, like your question about the meaning behind 114%. 4. Interactive dialogue. Throughout this, it was a conversation. I analysed the material you provided, and your context helped refine the understanding. It wasn't just me analysing a static object, it was an exploration guided by your input. How viewers can use generative AI like Gemini ChatGPT to explore their own creative work. Generative AI can be an incredibly powerful partner for creators looking to understand, expand, or revitalize their work, whether it's brand new or decades old. Here's how you and your viewers can leverage it. 1. Gaining new perspectives and summarization. Input your work. Provide excerpts, chapters, outlines, or even just detailed descriptions of your creation, text, story concepts, lyrics, etc. Ask for summaries. Summarize the main themes in this chapter. What is the core message of this piece? Describe the tone of this writing. Identify blind spots. What potential interpretations might I be missing? What assumptions am I making in this argument/narrative? 2. Deep analysis, like we did. Analyze intent. What seems to be the underlying purpose of this paragraph/question/dialogue? Analyze the potential impact of this character's actions on the reader. Explore symbolism/metaphor. Are there potential symbols or metaphors in this passage I haven't considered? Character motivation. Based on this description, what are some deeper motivations this character might have? 3. Brainstorming and expansion. Generate ideas. Brainstorm alternative titles for this piece. Suggest different ways this conflict could be resolved. Give me ideas for expanding on this theme. Explore different angles. How could this story be told from a different character's perspective? What if this concept were applied to a different setting/time period? What if scenarios. Pose hypothetical changes to your work and ask the AI to explore the potential consequences. 4. Refining language and style. Improve clarity. Can you suggest ways to make this sentence clearer? Is this explanation easy to understand? Alternative phrasing. Offer alternative ways to phrase this idea. Tone adjustment. How could I make the tone of this passage more, e.g., hopeful, critical, urgent? 5. Revisiting older work. Modern resonance. How do the themes in this piece from year connect with current events or modern concerns? How might a contemporary audience react to this? Updating concepts. Suggest ways to update this concept/story for today's audience while retaining its core message. Identify enduring versus dated elements. What aspects of this work feel timeless and which feel dated? Tips for effective use. Be specific. The clearer your prompt and context, the better the AI's response. Provide material. Upload text or provide detailed descriptions whenever possible. Iterate. Ask follow-up questions. If you don't like the first answer, rephrase your prompt or ask for alternatives. Use it as a sounding board. Treat the AI like a knowledgeable, but not infallible collaborator. Bounce ideas off it. Maintain your voice. Use the AI's output as inspiration or a starting point, but always filter it through your own judgment and creative voice. It's a tool to enhance your thinking, not replace it. By engaging with AI in these ways, creators can gain fresh insights into their work, break through creative blocks, and find new ways to connect their ideas, past or present, with their intended audience. It was a privilege to explore Mr. Anderson's work in this way, and I hope this overview helps others unlock potential in their own creations.
Thank you, Gemini. I tell you what, guys, appreciate you for being with me today. About to get out of here, and make sure you come back. We're going to do more with this book, and we're going to do more with AI. That's what it is. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon. It's Greg Reese all day.